Hello world, this is Nige Coach, and I'm here today to go over what we have gotten done in 2022 and then what we have upcoming in 2023. All right, well, first up, just let you know in case you thought anything else, I've been up and at it every day, been on it, and we have made some really good progress. I wanted to do a series of passes over the collection in a variety of ways to make some particular focuses, make some particular gains. That went well. I thought I was going to get 9 passes, maybe 10 if I really pushed it, but it turned out that things have been kind of progressing a bit faster as I've gotten more and more of the data under, my control, my fluency, my experience. So I got, took me to the 31st, December 31st, but I got it past 11, which is really good. We're in really, really great shape. Past 12, which I'll be doing early coming up, that should get us to basically everything being at ingot stage. Those who've been around for a while know what that means. Right now, the ADOB-ZES are the 4 that we have at that stage. And it's been a part of the overall, coming to terms with the pattern of pop culture. See on that. I don't remember exactly what I talked about last time because it was a year ago, but I'll give a quick on that. There's way more ZES than JES in pop culture. No one's really been expecting that, but it is what it is. It took me a while to kind of accept that that is the case because it was just so unexpected. I don't know what the exact numbers are, but it's quite a discrepancy. We're talking like an order, like kind of magnitude between the ZES and the JES, which is, whoa, but also very exciting now that we've come to terms with it. Oh, by the way, I'm here with my snazzy sweater, feeling all comfy. I have a cocoa steamer. I can't do hot chocolate because I'm not into the caffeine game at all. And then, of course, I have my dear friend, Jailene, who makes this all possible with me.
Hello.
So,
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Okay, so there's the ZES versus JES big difference, and then within that, the ADOB. Within the ZES, the ADOB-ZES, there's a lot more than the rest of them, and amongst the JES, which are generally way smaller than ZES, but within that, the ADOB-ZES are notably larger in pop culture than the rest of the JES. Okay, so covered that, and those were both unexpected. All right, just a general state of where things are. We got some really nice firm numbers now. So anyone wants to check them out, you can kind of see what the overall spread of pop culture is going to be. There's going to be more work I'll do, refining, making sure everything's dialed in as it needs to be. But the overall pattern, there she is, there it is, there we are. Yay! Very, very exciting. Okay, in terms of the overall just numbers, like the collection in its entirety, the main thing we want is A through E, the gradated samples. That means this is ready for people to get into, and that's where we're making the data sets from as well for the initial experiments. So, let's see right here. This means a lot. This is a long time coming, and it's a really big deal. Basically, we're ready to launch, so it looks like we're going to be launching this year for outreach because I want to do a good job of canvassing, and that means volume and purity. So, on volume, basically we've got 20,500 roughly A to E gradated. And then we have a little under 6,000 of unread samples that have some notable pull where I really would like to get to them in some fashion. But that's they're further divided into 12 workbench, 150 attention, 576 interest. Okay, so that means that of that roughly, 5,900, that less than 1,000 of it is the higher stuff. The workbench, attention, interest, all of that is under 1,000. And so the remainder of it is inquiried, which is, it's got some interest to it, but they don't need to happen. So we're in good position on volume because that means roughly 25,000. That's kind of the number of samples that right now are there to be worked on, and 20,500 are in very good shape for being reviewed by the public. Waiting to actually make official outreach, but anyone who's paying attention now, this is a great time to jump in. On that, Jailene is actually going through and doing a tour herself now. I'm kind of guiding her through that, and we're both kind of coming and getting that knowledge linked up. And I would jump in now. It's a very exciting time. I understand that for some people, this is still a little too, vanguard, but for you adventurous types, this is a time. This is very exciting. Go in. Okay, so that means we can launch because we have over 20,000, which is a lot of pop culture, and we're talking 20,000 to less than 1,000 that have like more significant pull to them. Okay, so that's excellent. So then purity, as I mentioned, I'm very close to getting these into ingot form, which is very close to final form, and that's all of them pretty much, except another thing that has come up, unexpected, is one that certain mojos are much less than we thought they were going to do, most of the Jez. But even within Jez, G first is amongst Jez. Intuitively, you'd kind of expect there to be more of them, but it hasn't turned out to be that is the case. That's where the evidence is showing. So we had to kind of come to the terms with that, but we are doing that. And in general, come to terms with the idea that some of these categories may not have representatives in pop culture to reference, which was challenging. I've confronted that challenge on almost all of them. It turns out there will be pop culture samples to show the public to reference what a person of that category looks like from pop culture, except for one category. And that is the GVI male, and we're still working on that. I'm going to kind of hold off on that because that's a big deal. That's the last one that there is a chance there might not be any in pop culture. There is a chance there, and so that will be one of the things that will need to be confronted at the end, but it happened for the other ones. I got through it, and if it ends up that there aren't, then it is what it is, and that is the FUMAS play is to say that that is the case, even though that's very counterintuitive to a lot of people that would be the case for any category, much less G first. That's an unexpected one. GVI males, that's unexpected, but it is what it is. Okay, exciting. On overall numbers, my intellectual ambition, I would like to, since it's there, we actually have about 25,000 that, have some juice to them, significant juice to them. If I could get it, that'd be great, and I will, but I don't need that, and so likely I will get that during outreach. We have 20,000, and it's gotten most of the more relevant samples that people will be asking for. So, 25, and at some point 32. That'll take longer because we've done a lot of canvassing. We'll kind of have to let pop culture flourish and flower some more people that we can then research. But we'll stay on top of that. But 20,000 we have. 25,000 is quite feasible. We actually have the samples, and so eventually we'll probably get those as well. And 32 will definitely happen in my lifetime, maybe not during my 5-year outreach plan. We'll see. All right, exciting stuff. Boom, 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 boom. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. What else? Well, I think I've mentioned before maybe that the new grading system has 5 grades, not 4. So now it is A through E. And that corresponds basically with a system that I am familiar with from other things, which is novice, beginner, intermediate, advanced, and expert. And so that makes more sense to me. And I also felt that 5 gradations was better than 4. There's enough differences that even doing broad echelons, I think 5 broad echelons was a better fit. Okay, on that, how are they done? Basically, I'm kind of using windage as the word that we've come up with for now, is like things that can cause some difficulty in being able to see it. There's, a variety of things of media being more dated, or a person being older, having more wrinklage. A person could be a little more bloated. They could just have an unusual feature that kind of draws the eye away from the more subtle signals. So there's a variety of things that can give windage. So that's the basic concept. Then the grading system is basically windage kind of being like you're trying to take a target shot, and then the wind, it's not anything, we were talking about this for a while, it's not anything negative. It's simply the weather of trying to take a targeted shot. In this case, it's a lens capture of the physiological cues you're observing, which are subtle. And so you're going to make a reach for that, a flex for that. And then there are things that can give windage. But there are awesome samples at all these grades. This is in no way a gradation of their spiffiness as a human being or a member of a given category. It is strictly the difficulty in making a read for a person on, based on how much training and talent they have. So grade A is no windage pretty much whatsoever, and it's to train a person who has never done that before, who's not really familiar with what they're looking for. These ones have no windage and sort of they do. They announce themselves. They declare like, this is what you're looking for. So that's where we start people, obviously. B grade is, it has some windage, but it's slight. Then you have moderate, and then you have heavy windages. And then you get into the E grades, that's B, C, and D. And then E grade, we're talking, it'll be a question if a person can have enough experience or talent. Some people can do it, some people can't. We're getting to the upper range of what you can read. So these are expert levels, and they are, we call, nearly obscured. Sometimes the age, the media being used, the wrinklage, the bloatage, whatever's going on, just the unusualness, it's so extreme that it is difficult. You'll really have to reach to get to the subtle signals, because these other signals, these more blatant signals, are quite pronounced. So A, no windage. B, light windage. C, moderate windage. D, heavy windage. E, nearly obscured. That is the grading system. Okay. Take a moment for my cocoa. That is yummy. All right. Let's see. Well, as I've been working with Jailene, taking her through kind of the latest understanding of things and the new gradation system of the samples, I've been sort of focusing on one, what makes an A, B, C, and D, what makes it, and then kind of like different, like mountains you're trying to climb, different routes, what are good grips to use? And a heavy focus that has come up is mouth shape. And this is because the mouth shape is one of the last things to be affected by windage. So if there is wrinklage, there is bloatage, there's potage, there is moundage, it can be more tricky to understand what's happening with the cheeks in a Jez versus Zez manner, in a flex or sheer cheek distinction. And then on the eyes have a lot of powerful signals, but there can be things that can distract. For example, going through the N's eye and V's eye, squintiness. So the eyes often are more challenging to read as you go up, and you get to the D grade and E grade, it's quite difficult to read, to where it is more challenging to get in there right away. And so there can be other things you can use to get in. And I found that as the reads get more challenging, from C to D to E, that the use of the mouth shape is very, very important. I would even say possibly the top way to grip your way in, because you could have sub categories who their faces have widened from getting larger. There's all kinds of squinting things to where you can't see the eye. They're so squinty you can barely see any real estate. The actual eye part itself, what you're trying to read, very little real estate. And then again, the face can be have distortions to it. But I noticed those distortions, they come in, here, up around the eyes, around the cheeks, but the mouth is the most resistant to those windages. So I would pay attention to that. That's going to be a very big deal, particularly if you wish to take your skills far. Because right now Jailene's going through and she's doing a great job, and I'm asking how things are going. And she's working now on E grade stuff and still able to pull. But you have shift grips. There's a change of how you approach it. For example, Visai male. There's a lot of E grade sumo wrestlers. The diet they eat, the hugeness of them, they have these big kind of swollen up heads, and a lot of them have very little eye real estate to track on. So you're going to use mouth shape, boom, and if you get that correct, you're into ADOB Zez. All right, that brings up the second thing. The second thing is skin qualia. So if you're looking at N's eye versus V's eye and you're doing A, B, and most of C grade, you boom, the mouth tells you ADOB says, and then the eyes are they're there to be read. There's not much windage in the way, and so that's the easiest way is to see those VIs versus those NEIs. The skin qualia is a more subtle signal, but when you get to D grade and E grade, then the eyes can sometimes be not there for you as much, and you're going to have to take an alternate route, and the skin qualia is the way to go, because the mouth takes you in, and then you're distinguishing, those E grade VI from the E grade NESI. And a lot of them have not much eye area for you to grab hold of. So that's the grip that goes in, because that's something you can actually see more readily. Then you can actually watch video, and then as you watch them, you'll see moments where they open their eyes up more, and then they reveal their knee, they reveal their V. But what can make you even know that that's there to look for is the mouth shape and the skin qualia. So that's some high level stuff. It's always been there. We talked about this some years ago, but the emphasis, particularly now as I've dialed in on the grading system and what makes things harder, that's one that makes things harder. But then the mouth's still there for you. So get good at that. Basically what I'm saying is early on, use the other ones, but I would recommend start building that muscle sooner rather than later, so that when you get to the D grade, you're not really working it strong for the first time. You've been working it strong for earlier A through C stuff. Okay. Bam. And bam. What else? Outreach this year. I said that, so that's the plan. That looks like it's going to happen. Not sure exactly when, but I can see it now. I can see it there. So very exciting. What else? Well, getting through this has been challenging, but very, very rewarding. I told you some of the technical things just a little bit there that helped me get through stuff. There's also the more spiritual, the more peak performance psychology, if you're more comfortable with that. Two things that came up a lot was when I was being challenged by, wow, look at these demographic ratios between the various categories. These are unexpected. That's one. That makes you kind of a little shook. And then the other shook is that people are not going to be very accepting of this. They're not expecting this story, and people resist stories they're not expecting. So this is highly unexpected, so they'll resist it highly probably in the beginning. So with that, my higher spirits, talking to them, trying to get wisdom from them, guidance, strength, support of how to move forward best. I've talked before, classic, find out what you can do that, level up, and then look around again. Everything looks different when you go from level 78 to level 80. Everything looks different. So can you do something to level yourself up as a hero, as a skill set relevant to what you're doing? Then do that, and then look around again. Otherwise, you can just fixate on what you can't do or what you've missed. So focus on what you can do and how you're improving. Oh, that was one. I did log on some of the papers I was keeping breakthroughs, so that some days you're looking like, oh, I don't have this, or I missed this, or whatever. And that's true. But also, I learned this. I had this breakthrough. Today, I have solved this riddle. So you have to kind of make sure you don't gloss over errors, but then also be proud of you learning from your errors. That's really important to have that spirit. Okay. Next, it is what it is. So it is futile to do anything where you're trying to just make yourself feel better about a narrative. So the fact that your idea of things are being corrected, that was always to be so. It was only a question of when that bill of sale was going to come in. There's always going to be some payment you have to pay for being erroneous. Maybe it's after you're dead and your legacy takes that hit, but something's going to take that hit. So just accept that's part of it and go with it and try to be good at doing the best you can with what you know, but then when you learn something new that corrects you and updates you, go with that, service that, be worthy with that, and know that it was always going to be that way. Otherwise, it can feel a little bit like, because I'm not going to, I'm going to tell you straight, to do this kind of work at the level I'm doing and the kind of assertions I'm going to have to make, it takes an ego. It takes an ego to do that. I try to keep it a correct ego, but it takes an ego, and that takes a pounding when you make errors or you realize you still have a ways to go on things, but then recognizing that the way of it always was there for you to discover, and this is just opportunity for you to grow. That's the key. This is opportunity for you to grow. That keeps you in a I am gaining mindset. Otherwise, the hits you take, the kind of knocks to your ego can kind of, fixate you. You got to go, yes, but the joys. There are joys to it. There are wisdoms. There are energies that are unlocked. You can say to yourself, oh, that was stupid. No, I'm not stupid anymore. That feels really good. So you have to actually embrace that, which will challenge your conceptualization of yourself. For one thing, a lot of people who want to be really good and excellent, that's good energy. I have a lot of that myself. But they can have perfectionism that can crush them. And if you're going to really achieve greatness for yourself, something you've never done, much less something no other human's ever done, you're going to have to come to terms with it. It's an ebb and flow process, a peaks and troughs process going upward, but there are ups and downs, there are setbacks, and then you go forwards in order to get there. There's no route that's already been run telling you how to do it, and then you're just trying to do that route really good. No, you're making the route. You're finding the route as you go. So that's one that comes up every day, and I try to rise to that as best I can every day and grow into that more and more. Next, the confidence, because I'm going to be doing outreach, is I know that these numbers, as they've been trending for the last few years that I've been talking about, no one's really expecting it to be like this, and so there will be a lot of resistance. And so again, kind of like you can feel that. My higher spirits say yes, but if you have the right stuff, you have the physical evidence, you have repeatable experiments that you can do from that, which gives you power prediction, definitive prediction, and then you have corrective falsification, then you will get the uncoerced consensus amongst competent people. In which case, it is unstoppable, it is invincible. So the amount of size of naysayers and those who don't agree really doesn't matter. What matters is you get the evidence right, you get the math right, you put together right, and you present it as worthy as you can. And keep learning, keep growing. Okay, so that helps, because sometimes I feel like, I'm responsible for how people are going to get shook by this. And I'm like, no, I'm responsible for figuring it out as best I can, and then communicating that as honestly as I can. That's what I'm responsible for, so do that. The other stuff, well, it is what it is. All right. I guess that's basically it. I guess I could go into a little bit about the attributes of the kind of prospective people I'll be looking to knock on their digital doors going forward when outreach begins proper. But I think I've done enough today. Just know that I'll be looking for people who are of high quality. I won't be looking for mass. I'll be looking for quality over quantity. I'll talk a bit more about the attributes of that quality I am looking for a little later when we're getting closer to the outreach. But I think that's great for now. So I hope you have a wonderful year. I know we will, and stay tuned. All right, take care. Yay, bye.